Okay. We just got a nice summary of where things stand, and I was going to add that as far as the giant war and Hecaton asserting control, Hecaton did visit the fire giants, thinking he could reassert control with just a word, and the fire giants, respectfully but forcefully said, "You're not in charge anymore, old man." So he was fuming, and the next step is to travel to Waterdeep and confront the cloud giants that he thinks are the real rabble rousers behind this. So the plan was to go to Waterdeep and to bring you with them.
So we are the muscle behind the throne?
Or the observers. And I think you had done a sending spell to communicate with Laryl Silverhand, and she said, "Yeah, we need help. We need King Hecaton if he's back in the fight, and we need you too." So you've gotten several requests, and Breezy's beyond help at this point. So King Hecaton whips up teleportation. He says to you, "Do you suggest we go into the city of Waterdeep itself, or would you rather arrive outside the city for your own purposes?"
Neil, what do you suggest? This is your town.
You're muted.
Muted, sir.
I was just reminding myself of where I was from. I was like, Waterdeep, that sounds familiar. What was the question again?
Inside the city or right outside the city? Where should you go? Where should you teleport to?
Do I remember where my sister is?
I don't remember. Did she evacuate with most of the city's leadership?
Yeah, she must have. I think we go out. I think we go outside the city.
Okay. All right. So King Hecaton gathers his advisors together, gathers all you together, does some weird runic teleportation spell, and you all appear in you recognize it. It's a wooded area. It's not more than a couple miles outside the city. And as soon as you appear, Neil, there's a paper bird tapping on your nose, like right away. It's just boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
So presuming you open it and read it, it's a note from Laryl Silverhand saying that there is to be a meeting of the masked lords this evening, and gives you a location. It's like a clearing sort of park area that's, it's just a few miles outside the city. It's probably like a 10-mile walk from where you are right now. You're urged to attend. You're urged to attend in your role, and if your friends want to meet up with people less formally, they're also encouraged to attend.
Do I have my Lord's ensemble? Do I carry that in my special pouch in my cape behind me?
I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You don't have a locker somewhere where you leave it, do you?
I don't think so. We carry a lot of. Wait, what happened to the bag of holding again? Didn't we lose that?
You've got it.
Yeah, we got it after all.
All right, and when that meeting is tonight, and so how much time do we have?
It's like noonish.
Are there any plants nearby?
Well, so we've arrived outside of town with Hecaton.
Yes.
And Neil, you've been accosted by a paper bird. Seems that whoever sent that uses the same sort of techniques that my mother likes to use. So I pick up on the fact that that's probably a spellcaster, and therefore maybe Laryl Silverhand themselves, or is it the was the Blackstaff,
It's signed Lara Silverhand. Yeah.
okay, it's already signed, okay.
Oh, I just thought you
Um,
meant guilt. Like your mother uses guilt.
Yeah.
You mean paper. Sorry.
Um, Nice. Well, so we know all about Neil's secret leadership thing. Did you already divulge that to us?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So you guys know that we're going to go. You guys are going to come with me, even though this is supposed to be a secret thing. We don't have many secrets, do we?
No, we can't. We can't afford it. We've been through too much. So do we know anything about the cloud giants? We know that previously when we came to deal that, and they have essentially like a mobile fortress up in the clouds that they can like fly over the city, right? And I think when we met before, we were discussing, should we like try to infiltrate their clouds, and I think we got an invitation and went up there and looked around before. Does that sound correct?
I think we even had discussions with
Yeah,
one of their leaders or
but like I don't think we can get up there without help. But we're on the ground now with Hecaton, and I kind of relate that to him and say, Lord Hecaton, obviously the cloud giants have their ability to keep their fortress and leadership up above ground, and I know that we could infiltrate that. Do you think that there's any use in us staying down here and going straight to hunt for the Worm Skull Throne and catacombs and areas underneath the city, or do you think we should try to take the fight directly to the cloud giants themselves?
He looks confused at your suggestion. He says the Wormskull throne has been lost for millennia.
I apologize. I have come. My thought processes have accelerated too quickly. You see, I've been thinking about this
That
all
seems
night.
unlikely.
But I may have jumped the gun, making some assumptions in my head that weren't there. As you know, Waterdeep is a very ancient city, or very old city, but not as ancient as the cities that preceded it here. And so, when you suggested that perhaps the cloud giants were the main usurping force trying to take advantage of your absence, it occurred to me that maybe it was no accident that they chose Waterdeep. I have a theory, sir, that maybe they have discovered something about the Wormskull Throne that we don't know. Am I making any sense at all, sir?
Well, I mean, yes, Waterdeep is built on the ruins of multiple cities, including, if you go far enough back, the ancient giant capital of Astoria. If you're saying they discovered something about, there's nothing they could know about the Wormskull Throne that I don't think, but it's been lost from it's a legend. What are you saying they've discovered?
That's of course where my theory breaks down, because nothing I've ever read in books is anywhere near as detailed as what you already know about the Wormskull Throne. So perhaps my books of fantasy and adventure have led me astray to make assumptions that this is where the plot leads us.
Nonetheless,
Yeah.
You interesting small people. I and my entourage are going to go have a discussion with the cloud giants. I don't think it would be proper at this point for you to accompany us. You've shown your resourcefulness. My son can accompany us, of course, as part of the royal entourage. if he chooses to. If the discussion does not go well, then we will discuss, among ourselves what the options should be. And you've all shown yourselves to be quite resourceful. So we can talk about the appropriate, but for now, I think, the Storm Giant Court, including my son, if he so chooses, should go up and talk to the Cloud Giants while you maybe reacquaint yourselves with some of your small friends. Son, are you coming with us or staying with your friends?
What do y'all think? We could try to establish a
Right.
telepathic link.
Yeah, we could, and certainly if something goes amiss, we would know immediately, and I can try to teleport the team immediately adjacent to you.
Yeah, let's do it. Of course,
Okay.
I will go with you, sire.
Okay, great. Right.
Try to, if you get into trouble up there in the Cloud Giant facility, try to tell me a landmark that we saw when we were up there previously to make it easier for me to target if I'm going to teleport people there.
I'm sure that I will be informed when I see something that I have seen before.
Okay. So the Storm Giants start walking towards the city. They walk quite a bit faster than you, but you're in good shape. You can jog and keep up with it.
He's got that unarmored speed or whatever, so
Yeah.
he's got a barbarian clip.
But short legs.
What's the rest of the team doing?
Let's head into town and see if there's any what do you think, Neil? Should we
I
try
think-
to see if your sister is around and if she needs any help while we're here?
Yeah, I think we should go into town and walk around, see if there's anyone that I recognize, and
I mean,
we
there
can get some more recon.
there is no getting into or out of town. I mean, the Storm Giants presumably will be able to get in, but there is no getting into or out of town. Not in a conventional way. And I thought we said that your sister was outside of town with the government in exile.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
thought. Let's say
How
that's
far out of town are we?
Sure.
Sorry.
Couple miles.
2 miles.
2 miles out of town.
And I take it we've had a long rest.
Yeah.
And what, I'm sorry, and when you say there's no getting into town, it's just because it's under close watch of the Cloud Giants, or?
Yeah. Same as when you were there before and you managed to bust an escape and let that few thousand people escape, but it's pretty locked down. They don't want people, mostly they don't want people escaping, but really either direction. I mean, that's the situation when you saw it last. You don't have any reason to think otherwise.
Right.
They're working people to death. I don't know. People aren't just staying for the benefits or something.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, do we know anything about what's going on in town? We're just, I mean, especially that's what this meeting will hopefully tell us, I suppose.
Well,
I
the
guess it-
meeting might be just among the cadre of leaders. Maybe we should seek out
I mean, the notes sort of implied this
expats.
is, yeah, the notes sort of implied there's a lot of expats. Like y'all can
Yeah.
hang out with the expats and there will be an inner circle meeting.
Yeah, let's check out with the rest of the people, and maybe Neil's sister will be among them. And then, of course, the actual official meeting will be later with the smaller cadre of masked men. So, how can we find their camp? I guess we're only a couple miles out of town, but
Yeah, it was. She gave a location of a well-known park that's about 10 miles away.
okay. I say we hoof it over there.
Sounds fine.
Melvin, do you recall your rangery roots enough to help us find a reasonable path?
Oh, I'm sure that my wilderness survival skills
Are as good as they ever
well,
were.
are as good as ever. That's exactly right. I do have a +10 in survival, assuming that's the
Okay, yeah, give me a survival check.
all right. Thank you. Well, I rolled
Oh.
shitty.
I was going to say, I'd like to send my owl up in the air to help him, to give him the help action.
Okay, so roll with advantage.
Oh, all right.
I mean, it's not like you're not going to get lost. It's not like Blair Witch Project.
I've now gone from a 19 to a 21. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you know, Neil tells you sort of where this location is, and you find there's, you know, like there's the well-worn path, but you find like a much better looking, you know, some scenic beauty, some local flowers are blooming this time of year.
maybe
And,
there's like a cheesemonger along the way, you know, or chocolatier kind of maybe.
We're in the country.
You're right next to a city
Survival.
that has been, has been evacuated and run out. So
Oh, all right.
no. I mean,
right.
there were suburban parts of the city, but people have evacuated them. Like if you're living right outside a city that's been attacked by giants, you leave.
No chocolate, just cheesecake.
But you do find some truffles. And the French word for that is ground
Tofu.
fungus. Yes.
Mm.
German word or something. So you do find some truffles on the way. And so, you know, about 2 hours later, you come to a, you know, it's sort of an over there. The trees give you cover from above, and it's not the entire city in exile, but it's about 200 to 300 people milling around. Seem to be, you know, more important and more serious than the average person on the run. Give me Khalifa and Neil, give me perception checks.
$15.
14.
Okay. Khalifa, as you're looking around, you see your mother hobnobbing with some important people.
I immediately go over and greet her warmly. Mother, what a pleasant surprise to see you here.
Oh, Khalifa. Oh, so glad to hear it with your friends. Oh, it's so good to see you. I've been worried about you. Is your sending spell not working?
I know that it's been a few days since we kept in touch. I did actually just update the dragon's name,
Yeah, the
whatever
silver
her
dragon.
name is.
What's her name?
Yeah, the silver dragon of Silvery Moon to hope. I thought that she would pass along to the rest of leadership. The reason I contacted her was I had some specific questions about dragons. As you know, I think I've told you before, we have had trouble with this green dragon that seems to be allied with a particularly evil character, Cooper Black.
Yeah,
so,
you're running some dangerous
for not
circles.
reaching out directly.
And we've heard about you know, Mirabar's people being liberated, and things have improved in Neverwinter. They say you and your friends are involved with that.
We've done our best. You know, I really feel like I've taken a liking to this adventuring lifestyle. When this all started, I just had hopes of rescuing you and then returning to my everyday job of sorting, organizing, and you know, writing my you know, fan fiction of the world of Greyhawk. You know, but but now, you know, I feel like we really have been able to help people with the power that we've been blessed with.
Great. Well, yeah, Laryl Silverhand got your message about that King Hecaton is getting back involved, which that's going to turn the whole war. So this is the first hope we've really had about really retaking Waterdeep. So I, as a representative of Silvery Moon, I wanted to be here and help strategize, help figure it out. And you and your friends are here now too. I don't have the right to invite you to the strategy meeting tonight, but we'll certainly keep you involved.
We have recently received such an invitation, and we'll be
You did
we'll be
what?
there.
You received? You what?
Uh,
The invitation is for the masked lords.
then I'm sorry, my earphone just fell out. Perhaps I speak ahead of myself.
You meant just to come meet with the people here, like the larger group, but
Yeah,
not for the meeting tonight. Yeah, the meeting tonight is closed. I'm sorry.
understandable. These things have to have their own um, protections against leaky information. So can I tell, is she not only, I can tell that she's surprised to have me accidentally say that. Can I tell, does she seem suspicious at all?
Let me
to
see.
me?
Let
Like,
me
do
see how
I-
much of that she picked up on. Yeah, no, she did not. I mean, yeah, I rolled an insight check for her and it was very low. She doesn't seem like she
Okay.
picked up on what you let slip, that you've got a
Okay.
mole in the masked lords or a connection to the masked lords. She didn't seem to pick up on that.
All right. So I give a little mental think to Neil and say, sorry about that, bro. I did not mean to give that away. Perhaps I should let somebody else do more specifics and talking. So then I begin to talk to my mother about things about how dad's doing and how the city of Silvery Moon is doing, and distract her with that while other people talk and ask around.
Okay. Can I switch to Thrax and the Storm Giants? Right.
Wait, do
So-
I see anyone I recognize, or
You didn't. I mean, not as quickly as Khalifa found his mother. I mean, again, a couple hundred people. It won't take you forever to find your sister or whoever you're looking for. So I'm going to switch to
I could find
Thrax.
them faster if I could play a concert?
You can do that. That's true. That's true. Your sister would certainly recognize that and come to you.
We've got a few hours, so I'd like to put on a performance.
Give me a performance check.
I thought I'd never hear it again. Oh, not my best. Only a 17.
Okay. But still, these people have been living, for people used to living in a big city, they've been, living the suburban rural life. And so they're liking this entertainment. It's better than anything they've heard in a while. And it doesn't take too long for your sister to figure out who's playing and come over and greet you. And she doesn't interrupt the show. She's just front and center and cheering a lot until you decide to stop.
Okay, so when I see my sister, do I so we greet each other, and I ask what's the government of Waterdeep doing? How's everybody doing?
She says, well, we've gotten word that the Storm Giants are back involved, and the Storm Giants are really our best hope for retaking the city. So we're moving closer. We've moved closer to the city, and the bigwigs are going to have a talk tonight to see if anything can be done to evict the Cloud Giants peacefully or otherwise.
Okay,
I'm Laryl Silverhand's assistant. Is that her job? Was that her job? I think that was her job. That may have been her job.
well, she was running sanitation.
Yeah, I think she did a great job with the sewers, so that got her promoted, as I recall. But I'm not sure
Okay.
promoted to what.
Yeah, that makes
Anyway, so she's helping.
Or she
no matter
survived and there weren't many left.
no matter what her official job is, she's helping set up the meeting. Getting coffee and things like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Does she know that I'm one of the masked lords?
Nope, not as far as you know.
No. Okay. Okay. All right. I'll keep going with that. Okay. So I say, so is there anything that I can help with, now? I know it's a busy day for you, but is there anything I can help with?
He says, well, I've heard word that they're going to want you and your friends to be a key part of this. You've really showed yourselves to be quite capable. I'm a little worried. I don't want them throwing my brother against some cloud giants as cannon fodder. I saw what they did to the the rip-off Justice League. And so take care of yourself. Don't let them talk you into anything that you can't handle. But,
Okay.
there certainly are some people who want you and your friends to be involved.
Okay. Well, that's what we're here for.
All right. Scene change to Thrax, if that's okay. All right.
Fine by me.
So you and the storm giants approach the walls of the city. And as you approach the city gates, you don't even have to say anything. These gates, and they start like creaking and like dust falls off of them. They haven't been opened in a while. They open up for you. You walk in. As you walk past, you see, two cloud giants standing behind them, and like piles and piles of boulders that, and once you walk through, they close them, and then they start piling the boulders back up again in front of the city gates, so they can't be opened.
Okay.
And they don't speak to each other. These are clearly cloud giant, underlings, and the king of the storm giants. They don't speak to each other at all. Storm giant starts walking towards the middle of the city, or sort of the city center, because right over that is where the castle is. Give me a perception check.
Okay. Here. 3.
3. Okay. You see, as you're walking through the city, you see that there are a lot of buildings that appear to have been demolished, and then just big holes in the ground, like on streets, on parks, on places where there used to be buildings. They look like they're 30, 40, 50 feet deep. Some of them are so deep, you're not walking over and peeking in, but you can't see the bottom. They're maybe 100 yards away, 50 yards away, and you can't tell how deep they are.
Did they look like the result of undermining, or like the result, like they're craters, like the result
like
of
it's
bombardment?
mining, like strip mining or something along those lines.
Okay.
Um.
Like, are there great big slag piles next to them? Okay.
And a lot of them are not being worked at the moment. Some of them are being worked. Some of the ones that are being worked have like cages next to them with people in them who are like just sitting there, like they've been caged. And everybody looks weary. And yeah, they look very exhausted, and you're just trotting along quickly to try to keep up with your family.
Okay. Well, I keep trotting.
Okay. And after maybe 30 minutes of walking inside the city, you're underneath the castle, and I'll say so the contingent is pretty much the whole, not Ligeti, but so it's the king, the queen, the nature advisor, and the uncle. All right, so I guess that makes sense. So
No guards or anything like that? No underlings?
no, not at the
Okay.
moment. They look up at the city, which appears to be about between 2,000 and 3,000 feet up, and the queen picks you up sort of affectionately and gently, and they float up towards this castle. They land. I don't think you were with the contingent that went to the castle previously, but
No.
You were mentally connected, and it's sort of as they described. It's a nice. It's like a Disney castle. The courtyard has fountains and has green grass and has paved sidewalks. Very, very idyllic castle. And so you walk in, and the queen of the cloud giants is sitting on her throne, and she says, welcome Hecaton, so good to see. It's been so long. Thank you so much for your you and your court here. Oh, and you brought one of the small folk from the city down below also. How equitable of you. And Hecaton doesn't respond to well, do you respond to that?
Do I respond to that?
Well, actually, I take it back. I take it back. Hecaton speaks, and he says, what's her name? Well, he says, that's enough of this. We've seen this outrageous behavior. We don't allow the treatment of small folk like this. We've seen this behavior from you, from the other giant tribes. This is enough. This has to cease. Withdraw your castle, withdraw your people. Let the small folk get back to their daily life. And she says, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. We have plans here. We're improving the small folk life and improving our lives. We're all living together. Isn't that what you always wanted? We're all living together in harmony under benevolence of the cloud giants. You were so distant, but we're taking them under our wings. And he says, no, this doesn't work. This won't be peaceful. You have to go. She's having none of it.
Okay, so Thrax makes an impassioned speech saying, you're keeping the small folk in cages, and you claim that you're doing this for their own good.
And she says, oh, the cages are just temporary for when someone declines to work. When someone declines to work, they get put into a cage, but only for that day. And then if the person who put them there remembers, then at the end of the day, they take it out and let them go. So that's not a problem.
You've turned them into slaves.
Says, no, we're working together. We're all working together for the betterment of the city. And it's already helped. They have excavated and they have found remains of settlements and cities and temples from ancient Astoria. So we can all benefit from these ancient findings that we've found working together. And isn't that wonderful? Bringing the glory of Astoria here to the small folk and the giants. And Hecaton says, Astoria was destroyed. That's millennia ago. Let the past be the past.
Can Thrax interject here and yell, what are you looking for?
She says, our past, our greatness, anything that's been lost. And we're eventually just looking for a way for us to all live together and achieve greater glory. And yeah, I'll assume y'all did telepathic bond if you want
Yes.
that.
Yeah. So do you think that do you let us know through the telepathic bond if that's what she tells you?
Yes, I'm passing all this along. Yes.
I said, I knew it. I knew it. It's been my theory all along.
So y'all think they're looking for this for the throne?
I do.
Yeah, tell your father.
There's some serious Indiana Jones stuff going on. So I nudge Hecaton if I can, and I say, they're looking for the throne.
Okay, but he's still just outraged at her behavior. He says, this is, what was her name? Hold on. I know I'm a little distracted. Not that you care what her name is, but I care.
Hey Ryan, what did you do with the stuff you saved from the old Slack?
Oh,
You like, did you copy and paste it somewhere or?
I forget. I'll have to look it up.
He
Yeah,
says,
it doesn't have to be tonight. Later.
he says,
Let me see what I can find.
Queen Senasuri, this is outrageous. I'm tired of your excuses. I'm tired of your stories. I am the king of the storm giants. You will recall your people from the land below. You will remove your castle from above the small folk city that was previously Astoria. And she says, it doesn't work that way anymore, Hekaton. You've been gone. You know, you've held this over us for millennia that you used to sit on the Wormskull throne. You've been gone. We're here now. Your statements don't hold water anymore.
So
And
at
he's
this point,
just seeing.
I'm like yanking at
Mhm.
his trousers and saying,
Mhm.
"Psst, we should leave. We should go now."
And he says, you seem to have forgotten the might of the storm giants. And again, he looks emaciated. He's like, you seem to have forgotten the might of the storm giants. If we have to enforce our orders, this won't turn out well for anyone, but especially not the cloud giants. I expect you to reconsider what we've said here. And the whole party turns around and starts walking out the door.
All right.
And they walk silently. They walk to the edge and step right off. Again, your mother's holding you, and you drop at a reasonable pace down to the city. And when it's not until you plant the feet are planted firmly on the ground that Hekaton just, there's like a peal of thunder gives off if he starts yelling. And he's like, I cannot believe her. Who do they think they are? They've always been arrogant, but this is outrageous. What are they thinking? This cannot stand. I know a war between the storm giants and the cloud giants would benefit no one, but we have to enforce our authority. We'll call our banners. I know that the stone giants, and I know that the were they the mud giant, the hill giants, I know they'll stand with us. And I'll talk to Laryl Silverhand, and we'll try to sort this out without a full-blown war. What are your thoughts? And he turns to everybody, and your uncle sort of says, yes, we could take them in a war, but the casualties on our side wouldn't be bad, but the collateral damage would be terrible. And your mother's like, yeah, let's keep my son out of this war no matter what happens. Do you have anything to say?
Yes, I say, what are they looking for? Why are they doing these excavations? Is there something that they know that we don't?
And they all look at you like, what are they looking? I don't know. Maybe looking for some old relics of Astoria, maybe something to like burnish their credentials, or maybe just they think there's some magic items buried here. I don't know. I didn't care what they're looking for.
Maybe they're looking for the Wormskull throne. Maybe they have a clue. How could we find out?
Give me a persuasion roll.
Okay. 18.
All right. And they all look at you. They say, I bet you're right. That is it. That would be just like them. They're trying to find the Wormskull throne and use that to claim power. That's why they're digging all over the city. Oh, they couldn't have found it yet. If they'd found it yet, we'd know.
So who's directing their digging? How can we find what they're looking for and what clues they have? I have no idea. We should find this out.
Yes, yes. They say probably an aerial view of the city might give us a clue if there's sort of pattern or if it's haphazard.
Maybe we should interview the people doing the digging, the people stuck in the cages.
Okay. Yes.
Another thing I could probably get if I'm listening in to Thrax, I can
Yes, you are.
potentially use that arcane eye spell at some point, and I could send up that high up enough to get a good view of what's going on. So I mean, we may have other ways to gather the same intelligence. I mean, Khalifa's owl could do the job as well.
So we're looking for somebody who's directing all of this excavation work.
Okay.
And
You walk back to the nearest site, and there are a couple cloud giants overseeing it, a couple ogres overseeing the work, and there are people, humans, dwarves, etc., doing the digging, a couple in cages, and the Hecaton, your uncle, let's say, walks up to the two people in cages, picks them up, lifts them, and the people are like, "Oh, thank you," puts them on the ground. He said, "Thank you so much." They put us in those cages and they say it's just temporary punishment, but then they forget about us. They just forget and leave us there, and then people starve to death in those cages because they were just forgotten about. Thank you so much. Thank you. And the ogre yells at them, "Get back to work!" And they're like, "We got to get back to work."
what are you doing? What are you digging for? Who's making you do this?
Good God. They're just saying dig. They just pick random places. And like we started with like parks and places with dirt. And then we started digging up streets. And then they've even started destroying some buildings and saying dig under them. It's random. We don't know. We think they just like making us work.
So Khalifa, could you send your owl, like if you're watching all this or hearing all this, could you send your owl up to do like an aerial survey? Because I'm not sure that even with the arcane eye, Thrax has
We're
the
a few-
intelligence.
Yeah, we're a few miles away, maybe even 8 or 10 miles at this point. We just met up with the expats from the city, and actually found my mother here, who's going to be attending, I guess, the leadership meeting this evening. And Neil, of course, started a performance, and that's probably why you haven't heard from him here recently. He's over there playing as we speak, and I think I see his sister in the crowd. But we can make our way there, and between the arcane eye and the owl, we can scout out the area, see if maybe your kin can question the ogres as to where they received their orders on how to send the diggers.
Nice.
Certainly storm giants still have some sway over lowly ogres, the least impressive of all giant kin.
Well, your mother and the other leaders might have some idea who's calling the shots here and who's directing the excavations.
We'll get on it. We'll look into that too.
Okay.
Over.
Wait, is arcane eye only 30 feet? What was it that is like within a mile?
I can move it 30 feet a turn. Sorry, I had the.
It can
What is
last
it that's
go
like
as
a
far away as it
mile?
wants. I think
Okay.
it said.
clairvoyance is like
Clairvoyance is a
mile or
mile.
something.
Okay.
The
Okay.
arcane eyes just can't go to another plane, I think, basically.
Oh,
But
you can
it's
move
gonna-
it. Oh, you could move it as far as you want. Just 30
Yeah.
feet every 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I mean,
it's
I
gonna
could
be a
start
while.
sending an eye that direction for all I know, but I mean, it requires concentration probably.
Sounds like it's not much better than the owl.
Well, I think they could complement one another. You could have the arcane eye looking at a walking pace down throughout the city while the owl scouts overhead, and get, they could do the help action with each other, to look and see if we could find something. But We can't do that right now because of where we are to start that process, but we could do that
Right.
later.
Okay, so you said something about questioning some ogres.
Yeah, so like, obviously I'm constrained by the giant kin that I have around me, but I'm gonna try to like tug on somebody's skirts or trousers and say, let's ask the ogres what they're doing. Who's giving them the orders? Who's calling the shots?
All right. So I mean, you being storm giants, you attract attention wherever you go, and the cloud giant overseers notice you. But again, these are lower level cloud giants. They see you talking to the ogres, and these, they're speaking in giant, which you can understand. And it's your uncle steps up and says to the ogres, what's your purpose here? What are you digging for? And the ogre says, we're just digging. We just find soft earth and dig until we find giant runes, and then dig some more. And then if we find nothing else, move to another spot.
Who tells you where to dig?
Nobody and they gesture to the cloud giants who are with them, but they say just find a soft spot. Find a spot where we can dig. Any place is as good as another. Softer the dirt, the easier it is to dig. But we've
So
run
it's
out.
Found the map
We've run out of soft dirt, so now we're digging other places.
So it's a brute
Tomorrow,
force algorithm.
yeah, tomorrow we're gonna tear down that stable right there. That's a pretty small building. Let the horses out, tear down the stable, and dig there. Make the humans dig through the first layer of the stable, if you know what I mean.
What would what would make them stop digging? What would they report higher ups if they found?
What are you looking for? When will you stop?
We look for anything with giant runes on it, and then we report it back up top. And then once we go deeper than that, if there's nothing else under there, then we keep moving. Like this hole, we're about to finish with this hole. We found some giant artifacts, but they're worthless. And then we dug deeper and we found nothing. And so we're done. And he says, all we found here is this. And he throws a red cloth at your feet.
I pick it up and look at it.
Okay. It's big. It's a bath. For you, it's big. It's like 10 feet by 5 feet. It's a red banner with a giant runic symbol on it.
Can I read the rune? No, I can't read anything. So I show it to my father or my uncle.
Come on, Ben, read the rune.
And say, look at this. What does this say?
And he looks at it and he says, hold on to that. He sort of whispers, hold on to that.
Yeah, all right, I will. And so I roll it all up and tuck it into my, unmentionables.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
They don't know what they're looking for.
But who do they report to when they find something interesting?
Yeah, which giants do you? Yeah, okay. So up the chain of command.
The ogres report to the cloud giants there, and the cloud giants report to their bosses, and after that, who knows?
Is there anything special you're looking for?
No.
Okay, these guys are useless. So I think we're done here.
Okay.
Like,
You're-
I would love to look at the banner sometime later, but I don't think we can do that right now in this
Sure.
context.
Okay. I'll say you walk back out of the city. You're attracting lots of attention as you go. Give me another perception check.
Okay. Okay, 19.
All right. As you're going, you see two guys who are following you, watching you. They don't look especially physically intimidating, but they have the mannerisms of like thugs, and they're looking at you. Like
Me
everybody else
specifically.
is looking at the storm giants because they're quite the thing to see. They're looking at you, but they're keeping their distance. They're not approaching. They're just looking, whispering to
Okay,
each
you
other.
said those were cloud giants or they were
No, people.
just people?
Yeah,
Just
humans.
Small people, small folks.
small
Yeah,
people.
humans.
Okay, but
They
there's
whisper
also,
to
it
each other
sounds
every
like,
now and then.
it sounds like there's a big crowd that's following us as well.
Not really. People are, it's a city in occupation, so people are encouraged to go about their day. But to the extent that people can gawk at you, they do.
So I'm going to keep walking with the storm giants, but I'm going to fall back a little bit behind them to be a little bit closer to these two thugs, because I think I can take them, but maybe not if they have help.
Okay. You don't see them with anyone else. No,
Are they gaining on me or are they keeping their distance?
they're keeping their distance, and in fact, they're starting to drop off. With that sort of perception, you think they've seen what they need to see, and they're actually about to go.
Okay, at this point, I stop and turn around and face them and say, "Hey, what are you following me for?"
They look at you and do not respond. And then they start to like lean against the building in a casual sort of way.
Did the storm giants notice anything when I do this?
Yeah. One of the storm giants notices, and they all sort of slow down and look back.
Okay, so I'm gonna give the storm giants a friendly nod and a wink, and then I'm gonna walk towards the two thug-like guys and say, "Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. What's going on, fellas?"
They don't say anything. In fact, they even are looking away, like they don't even see you there.
So I'm going to continue being clueless and just sort of wander up and say, this is a fascinating building you're leaning against.
Give me an intimidation check.
Oh, I'm good at that.
Shame if something happened to it.
That's a nice one.
Oh man, I rolled a 10. I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. Okay. So can I wander over and
So
attempt to-
one of them looks at the other and says something. Give me a perception check.
$16.
Okay. They say something. It's not in common. It's not in a language that you've heard. And given your experience as an adventurer, you don't think it's a language from this plane of existence. It's not like, it's not halfling or something. It's not a language from around here. So one of them, says a brief sentence to the other one in some language that is very foreign. And then they just start to walk off.
Yeah, I start backing away at that point. I go and I join the giants again.
Okay.
My giants, the friendly giants that I am related to, definitely.
Okay. All right. They say that your giant family says to you, is there a problem?
Yeah, those look like demons or something. Those two guys were not guys in the small folk sense. They were from somewhere else.
Why do you say that?
Plane.
Oh, why do you say that?
They were talking to each other in a language that sounded like hissing. That is
What-
not what I've ever heard.
What were the sounds they made?
So I try to reproduce them.
Okay. And the nature advisor speaks up. She says, that sounds like elemental language. With the sort of guttural sounds.
Mhm.
Makes me think elemental. I know Waterdeep is a very cosmopolitan city, but I wouldn't expect to see small folk speaking elemental to each other.
Are the elemental languages separated out by elements? Like, is there?
Fire element or
They are, but this is a game of telephone, and so
Yeah,
all she
yeah.
can tell us-
Thrax doesn't know this, right?
Thrax, are you-
No,
are you still carrying Blaze? And sorry, I've forgotten the.
I think I might be.
I was just thinking that, I mean, that could be of interest to.
Yeah, I am.
That would be of interest to fire elementals, maybe.
Or possibly air elementals. Like,
Oh,
I don't know
actually,
what governs-
Blaze. At this point, Blaze starts singing in your mind, saying,
Oh,
"Yes, that is the language of my creator.
oh.
That is Ignan, the language of my creator."
So at this point,
So that's the
I-
fire dialect of the elemental language.
nice. Okay, so have these guys disappeared yet, or can I turn around and run and follow them?
They've give me a perception check. I think they've pretty much. You're going for at least a 20.
ooh,
9.
Yeah, they're gone.
Drat. All right, we got an interesting clue.
Okay.
So I go back with my giant kinfolk.
Yeah. And they say, we're gonna stop outside the city. We don't want to attract attention to Laryl Silverhand and her gathering. So we're gonna stay right outside the city. You can stay with us or go meet up with your friends, either way.
Okay, I think I'm gonna stay with them, but I'm gonna try to pay attention and see if I can see any sign of these people coming back to maybe spy on me or the giants.
All right. So what I'm thinking is that you leave the city walls and you sort of camp out right outside the city. And
Yeah, so I
No.
think that that's what the giants are doing, and then I kind of sneak back a little bit.
I mean, again, there's no going in and out of the city walls unless you're escorted by
No,
storm
we
giant
are,
royalty.
yes, we are still
So-
outside the city. Yes.
So, as you're walking outside the city, you do not see these two guys again. And again, the gates open for your party and your party only. You walk about a mile from the city and then find a place to just hang out.
Okay.
And it's pretty deserted. Okay. Switching back to the rest of the group. Before this evening's meeting, is there anything you'd like to do?
well, so I'll. We don't have to role play this per se, but I definitely continue to apologize to my mother for not keeping in touch, and I promise her that I've been, brushing my teeth, and I still try to relay some anecdotes of things that we have done with making sure that my feats are included, and explaining to her some of the new spells that this storm giant gave me before it turned out he was actually a traitor, like the storm sphere and things like that. And I'm sure she's probably heard of these spells, but I'm very pleased to relate all this to her in exhaustive detail. And I told her about the Kraken. The Kraken, I think, was also very impressive to Khalifa. So I want to make sure she knows all about that. And
Kraken
Yeah.
gets a reaction. It's not every elven lifetime that someone runs into a Kraken.
yeah, it was harrowing, Mom. Let me tell you, we were under thousands of feet of water, and of course we could breathe because of remember I told you about the water breathing spell that I had copied from the library. That was good thinking, wasn't it? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I knew right where that was. I remember it actually when I organized that section of the library. So, anyway, that's basically
right.
what I do.
All right. The sun is starting to set, and
So
what's that?
actually, while Khalifa is kissing up to his mom, I think I want to. I visited the Melora temple in Waterdeep previously, haven't I?
Yes, definitely. They handed
Yeah.
you a scroll of poison detection and sent you out to
Yeah,
find the poison.
exactly. Okay, so I want to just see in the camp if there's anyone that I noticed from the temple, and just see if anybody's there.
Okay. Roll me
So-
perception.
Yeah,
Our beacon braids compels you to perceive better than usual.
it's okay. I got a 29.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, you do find the person who was handing out the scroll and sort of explained to you what was going on. She was like an older woman, but standing next to her was a sort of middle-aged woman, sort of a middle management type. And you find this woman, sort of chatting with who appears to be other representatives of other temples.
I want to let them know that we're here and we're trying to help. We're working with the storm giants, but is there
That's impressive.
any information that anyone from the temples has gathered that might be helpful in giving us an edge in figuring out how to sorry, I'm forgetting what we know and what we don't know, and I'm trying not to metagame.
You know everything. I mean, I don't know that there's
that's
anything
true
that-
because we're connected. Do they know anything about the digging? Do they know how they're deciding, how the cloud giants are deciding where to look? Do they know can they confirm anything about what they're looking for? Any of that kind of stuff?
I mean, the short answer is no.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, I just want to put a bug in their ear and say, if the temple network comes up with anything, then get a word to us.
Comes up with anything regarding what?
Here's anything interesting that they think we ought to know.
Will do. Will do.
Melvin, do you want to ask if
They
there's been
do
any-
say one thing. They do say that when Waterdeep was initially attacked, the Black Staff activated multiple of the walking statues around town, which got summarily defeated.
Mhm.
3 of them were not activated, mostly because they had like apartment buildings built on top of them. And in the intervening month or so, those apartment buildings have been quietly but thoroughly evacuated. So the 3 walking statues that were not used are cleared off and ready to go.
Interesting. I guess I have one other question, which is, has anyone there heard of or witnessed anything involving fire elementals in the city in the past, or know any of the temples that might have a connection to them?
Nothing at all.
Okay.
Not the slightest.
I was just typing this out, but thinking it to you, Melvin, that if we could get, I think you have access to this divination spell that I've heard of called Legend Lore.
I do.
That you could, and obviously you'd have to probably meditate on it and have Melora grant it to you by tomorrow. But
I actually have it prepared.
Oh, nice. Well, then yeah, maybe
I thought our investigations might be useful in having that. And so sure, if folks want me to, I need to describe a thing, a person, a place, an object. And if we have that in mind, then I can ask Melora for guidance about it. That might be kind of things that are circulating in the world today. It might be forgotten stories or even kind of secret lore type stuff. And I can certainly ask her, but I'd want to make sure that we're narrowing it down to the right kind of thing.
I'll excitedly regurgitate all that I have read in the smidgens of information that I've ever seen in print about it, as far as descriptions of how many hundreds of skulls were used to create it and what its approximate height was, but that varies between different descriptions. And is there anything else that I might know to give him additional information, Jay?
So we're talking about the Worm Skull Throne?
Yeah.
I
Just the legends of it being, in the seat of giantish power in Astoria back in the day. So unfortunately, that's all I know, Melvin.
Do we want to? I mean, we have people. We have Thrax who could actually interact with people who know more directly about it. Do we want to ask him, or do we want to roll the dice with the information we have?
Most of our discussions with giants so far have talked about it as sort of being lost to history, and we haven't gotten much more out of them. So I don't know how much more those interactions would necessarily yield. It
Okay.
even sounded like we haven't done our aerial reconnaissance yet, so that's one additional piece of data.
so to speak.
That's what I was thinking. To see whether or not there might be someone amongst the cloud giants that actually is doing more than just completely random searching.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, then maybe non-magical means might still yield some fruit. But if there's no indication that the giants of today know anything, then maybe the combined wisdom of the weave and the deities might provide something beyond what the mortals can do.
Okay. Well, Jay, I'm all in favor of just going ahead and attempting a casting of legend lore at a convenient time for you to give us information that might result. So if I'm going to cast it and provide all of the information that Khalifa has given me, and I will kind of await an answer when it is convenient for you. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I appreciate that.
Cool.
And you hear you hear the sound of the wind blowing through the trees, but it takes the form of words, and it says, "A cataclysm hit Astoria, and the people escaped with their lives, but not with the Worm Skull Throne. Since the day of the cataclysm, the throne has not been seen." Cataclysm or catechism, either way. Which fits with what you learned. You learned that pretty much in the Storm Giants stronghold when talking to Uthor. He said, yeah, there was a it's not known if it was a volcano or an earthquake or what it was, but something happened. Wormskull Throne, people were escaping with their lives and didn't stop to pick up artifacts, things like that.
Okay.
So in some ways it's stuff you already knew, but it's, re-emphasizing that.
Okay. And I
And
share that with all of my brethren.
Great. So it's here. It's somewhere in the ruins of Astoria, which is below our very feet, or at least below the town itself. If
Sounds
not,
that way,
probably
yes.
not extending out this far.
I guess the other thing, and then as you're talking to your friend, you're like, shh, Khalifa, shh, I'm getting something else. And you're hearing that legends of the Wormskull Throne have been discussed in recent time by many and varied parties.
Okay.
Not just giants.
Doesn't sound like you think that's very interesting, but sorry, that's what you got. Oh, sorry.
I
Go
don't
on,
know what to do with it.
Go on, Aaron. What were you saying?
I was just saying, for not just giants. So there could be other interested parties who
Yep.
thought
Exactly.
about this. So,
Cool.
That could mean that it's been different giant parties, not exclusive of our own that we brought with us. It also could mean that there are giants talking about it, and maybe those that we feel have manipulated the giants into this position that have spoken about it. I'd still say that that's useful information, that this this divination that you've performed has given us, Melvin.
I also wonder whether we should be on the lookout for an alternate group of heroes like the Septopodes. Just to...
And are there any people with this group that we're still with that are apparent followers of Pekla Rabak?
No.
There's no revival tent or anything on the
No,
outskirts of
because
this.
this is, again, it's, within a certain, you're not sure what radius, but within a certain radius of the city, it's pretty evacuated. And this group is sort of the serious people who run the town. I mean, if you ask around, they've heard about it. And in the larger group in exile, they say there's quite a few followers. And
Are you saying that
it's
Pekla
gaining.
Rabak is the QAnon of the Sword Coast? Is that what I'm getting here?
Basically.
So
I was thinking it was Scientology, but now I don't know.
They say it's quite popular. It's gaining popularity in the exiled, the larger exiled group. But this, again, this is a pretty serious group of people who aren't going for it. Okay, you're starting to see, looking around this group, you see sort of appearing, not literally out of nowhere, but figuratively out of nowhere, some of the masked lords. They're all the same height. They're all the same build. They've all wear their masks.
Wait, where did Neil go?
Well, actually, before we started that, I wanted to ask some of maybe my sister and others in the crowd if they thought that tonight could be dangerous, if there would be anybody who's might view this as an opportunity to attack the expat community or the government in exile.
Yeah, she says we don't expect that. We don't think there are people hunting for us. Obviously, Beryl Silverhand is great at defending herself. I mean, we're trying to keep it on the down low, but we don't think it's a
I,
big risk.
I would like to offer to Layer Silverhand that I can cast Morden Kanan's Private Sanctum to create a.
Do you have that?
What I do? You gave it to me in my book, Morden Kanan's Private Sanctum.
I thought that was
Never-
like, okay. I didn't know that was great.
It's the one that just makes it not scry an area not scryable and
Ah,
stuff.
sorry.
Not-
you know,
not the-
you know what I
not
was
the
thinking of.
magnificent-
You know
Yeah,
what I was
not the
thinking of.
Magnificent Mansion, not the mansion.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. What's that? Ronnie, what that does?
It does this. I can create an area. It's a cube that's 100 feet on each side that can prevent sound from passing through, and makes the area foggy around it so that you can't see into it, and nothing can teleport in or out. And planar travel is blocked, and people can't be targeted by divination spells inside this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's impressed. I don't know if you've already told her that you have some of these lost spells from the Circle of Eight, but even if you have told her, you know, hearing it again is, you know, again, these things have been lost for centuries. So she's stunned. She's like, oh, of course I know what Mordecai's Private Sanctum does. Yeah, I forgot you could cast these things. Yeah, please cast it over. We'll be meeting over here starting shortly. If you could cast it around this tent, I
Yeah,
appreciate
it
it.
only lasts 10 minutes. So just
No,
tell
it
me
lasts 24 hours.
Oh, excuse
Takes
me.
10 minutes
It
to
takes
cast.
10 minutes. Yeah, I'll start doing it now. I'll get this area
right.
set up. So I'll do that. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
And I go off as I go off to change into my mask robe. I'm just mumbling to myself that you know, I guess with that, nobody's really going to care about some plants that are going to help protect us, you know, and warn us if there's some evil people coming to take us on. So yeah, I guess that's better than some plants warning us with some
And if anyone
willows
was
in the wind.
if anyone was looking, you would appear to grow by several feet as you put on this mask and robe, and you know, you're the same height and size as everyone else when you walk into this tent. And you walk in, and there are 11 other masked lords there, plus Laryl Silverhand. And as those of you from the outside are watching, a white cloud comes from the direction of the city, comes towards the tent, goes into the tent. And Neil, you're inside, and the cloud forms into the form of the Blackstaff. Vajra, is that her name?
Yeah.
The Blackstaff. She, Hunter, maybe you like started to freak out when you saw a cloud coming, then you recognized, that appears to be the gaseous form spell. And so the Blackstaff shows up. So it's Blackstaff and Laryl Silverhand, and Latifah is there also in her advisory role, and a bunch of masked lords. Laryl calls the meeting to order, says, as many of you know, the storm giants are back with us. Apparently, thanks to the intervention of the adventuring group, the Octopodemos, the storm giants are back with it. And you hear a few grumbles when she says that name. The storm giants are back with us. They're willing to help. This is the best opportunity we've had to try to get the cloud giants out by force or otherwise. Turns to the Blackstaff, says, Vajra, what, you've been inside the city the whole time. What can you tell us? And the Blackstaff says, I've been working with people trying to from an underground network. We've got people who know people, but there's not much we can do physically to fight the giants. She says, I've been clearing everybody out from the 3 walking statues that weren't destroyed. Those are ready to go, but there's a problem that I learned last time I tried to use the walking statues. Yes, I can control them. I can make them move. But when you're in an actual battle, one brain trying to get 3 or multiple different things that aren't you to fight effectively and coordinate, what she says is pretty much, one person controlling multiple things in a battle just aren't going to be sufficient. And, you've got to understand why they're going to lose that battle. But no, seriously, she says, I wasn't able to effectively simultaneously control multiple walking statues. It just wasn't effective. So we have 3 walking statues we can use, but I'm going to be, if it comes to this, I'm going to be concentrating on other spells to protect the city. I'm going to need other people to step up and be a go-between and operate the walking statues for me. And so that's her summary. And Laurel says, okay, that's good to know. And so do we have any suggestions from the group? We've got the storm giants on our side. We've got a few here. We can have more come in. And we've got the Octopodemos here. And we've got the walking statues. What should our strategy be? And one member
Well, I
speaks
offer up.
Okay, well,
Go ahead.
before one member speaks up and says, well, the adventurers, they just seem sort of dangerous. How about if we put them in front as cannon fodder, have them attack the cloud giants? The cloud giants will kill them, but at least the walking statues can then maybe take a swing at the cloud giants and deter them enough while the storm giants go in force.
And I think you're underestimating the power of the adventurers. They have many who are quite skilled at spell casting and external control, and I think that they can fill the gap that Vajra was just talking about in helping to control one, if not more, of the walking statues to great effect.
And another, they're all the same. Another anonymous person says, it sounds like they've been in a lot of fights, a lot more fights than the rest of us have. So they're probably better at battle strategy and fighting experience. So some of them might be good to be the ones controlling the walking statues. That's not a bad idea. But bigger picture, what is another one says, but bigger picture, what is the goal? What is the strategy?
Is there how feasible is it to defeat all of the cloud giants and expel them from the city?
Okay. And this is when Laurel steps in and she says, that's a good question. I think it's not realistic to think we were going to defeat, in any sense of the word, all the cloud giants. I think what our goal would have to be is a temporary retreat. Make it so that it's so unpleasant for the cloud giants to be here for the moment, so that they go back to their castle for 12 hours a day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. And in that respite, we could open the city walls, let people evacuate. The best of circumstances, I can't imagine a total defeat of the cloud giants, however you define defeat. But getting a temporary retreat, I think, is the best we can hope for.
And do we? What are their weaknesses?
Aside from arrogance, that's a big one. Don't neglect that. Survival instinct. I know, and at this point, you remember that Laurel Silverhand had a previous career as an adventurer. She's like, a lot of villains you face will fight you to the death, or will at least fight you to significant risk of their own life. Cloud giants are too smart, arrogant, self-centered, something like that. They don't want to die. Poke them in the squishy bits, and maybe they'll retreat.
They're cloud giants, aren't they? All squishy bits. What part of the city are they not? What's the soft, speaking of squishy bits, what's the soft underbelly of the city at this point?
Let's see. Let me pull up a map and just they've given a pretty good thorough working over the like northwestern portion of the city along the city wall. They've dug that up more than the rest of the city, so they're concentrating on the other parts. So the city wall, that's seems to be less has less digging crews right now. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of where we would enter and attack first. You said the northwest corner?
Northeast.
Northeast, okay.
Let's see. So remember it's so there's sort of water on the western side and southern side. And
Yeah.
let me grab a water deep map. Yeah, so the where it hits the land and the maybe there's not a water deep map. All right. Well, you can Google water deep map. So the coastline on the west and south is there. And Vajra says yes, they're
Right.
I've tried to have discussions with them, tried to negotiate, and they just insist this is their historical land. So, sorry, hold on, trying to do too many things at once. They just keep insisting this is their historical land. They handed me this map that shows, here's what it was like when it was great. And she passes around a map that I will put in the... Right.
Yeah, by the way, the old map of Waterdeep is page 93.
I'll think to Neil. We've got to get a copy of that map. That may be something that can help us pin down a historical throne room.
Okay.
We can overlay it to our current day map, and I'll just keep saying other things, and so it's actually kind of intrusive that I'm thinking all these things to Neil while he's trying to listen to the discussion that's going on.
Yeah.
And I'll tell him that if we find this, then it's going to be great, and then we could triangulate and we can use some of the historical landmarks of the shape of the land. And
so people are passing around the map and they glance at it, sort of bored. Nobody lays claim to the actual piece of paper. So.
Yeah, so I'll grab that and put it in my pocket.
Okay.
You just added map of Astoria?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all of that stuff is close to the coast. And so
it looks like it's part of the
that is
coast
what
transitions
what's their claim about that?
And they're just saying like where they've dug and where they haven't. But so if you look at the map, one thing leaps out at you, and everybody noticed it. Everybody from Waterdeep noticed it as they see it. So the mountain on the far left there, that's Mount Waterdeep. That's what it's called now, is Mount Waterdeep. But
Okay.
the rest of the mountains, like that big southern mountain, that's water. That's the deep water port now. That is the deep water port of Waterdeep. That gives the city its name. So where there, there was on this map, there's a mountain there, but now it's the port, the bay, the whatever it's
And
called.
so I point this out to everybody because everybody in this council is from Waterdeep,
Mhm.
and I say, so what's the significance of this?
And
There must be somebody
know,
here who's a historian.
yeah. Yeah, somebody speaks up and they say, well, the deep water, the deep water port of Waterdeep, it's a natural harbor, it's surrounded by islands. And the theory is that was like an ancient volcano, like a sister mountain to Mount Waterdeep, and that it collapsed at one point, leaving the barrier islands that protect the bay, and leaving a big hole that now is the Deepwater Harbor. So, we don't know if this
Is Mount
map
Waterdeep?
we don't know if this map is fantasy or real, but if it's real, that mountain there became the bay. Maybe it exploded. I don't know.
Is Mount Waterdeep a volcano?
It's a dormant one. Extinct, actually. It's extinct. It was a volcano, but there's no indication of any. It's not like the one northeast of Neverwinter.
There goes my grand plan of attracting the cloud giants into a volcano and inducing it to erupt into them.
I'm not seeing the map. I don't know if,
On the slides?
yeah, I don't know why it's not updating.
It's page 8.
Oh, well.
What are those buildings? Does anyone know what those are?
I mean, those would presumably be things that would now be underneath things very close to the coast, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So,
But those look like castles, and there might be a throne in one of
yeah,
them.
I think that's certainly worth thinking about.
Yeah.
So if we attack from the northeast, we're going to have to traverse through the entire city to get to that area, if that's the main area of focus. So why are, if they have a bead on where the throne might be, why are there all these people who are just digging all over the city randomly? Or not randomly, but where there's soft, without much direction.
So are you saying this out loud? Because I don't know if the throne theory has been discussed with this the Masked Lords. Which
Okay.
you can mention it, but
Yeah, so let me fill everybody in about the throne concept.
okay. All right. And they look at give me a persuade. Well, okay. It's silly to ask you for a persuasion roll, but I will anyway.
Okay, just because it's fun. Oh, that wasn't not a very good roll. Only 27.
Okay. Yeah. And they look at you and say, that fits with a lot of things. That explains why they're digging. It fits with the cloud giants' arrogance. The cloud giants want to lord over everybody. They're very, mythological, or influenced by mythology. The giants and the dragons' hatred is legendary and goes back millennia. That's quite a theory that they're digging. I don't know if, and Laryl sort of takes point on this discussion. She says, I don't know if such a thing still exists. If I assume it existed at one point. I don't know if it was ever destroyed. I don't know if it truly is buried under Waterdeep, but yeah, that theory fits with we've been so confused as to why they're having people dig holes. That makes a lot of sense. I don't know what we do about it, but it makes a lot of sense. Okay, I will switch to outside, where Thrax went. Thrax, did you rejoin your friends? No, you're staying with the storm giants.
I'm staying with the storm giants. Yeah.
Well, since I'm pasting slides anyway, I will say you're hanging out with your family, and you say, okay, so, well, I don't know what you say, but remember you got the banner.
Yeah. So like, if everything is private, I'm like, okay, so like, here's what they dug up. What does it mean? I can't read it.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
like,
show it to them.
that's a Krieg rune. That's useful. That's useful in war. It's useful for leading. And they didn't notice what they didn't notice what they dug up. But you can use this with your small friends, and especially if there's good, we're trying to avoid a full-out battle, but if there is, this could be useful. So you see the slide?
Wow. Yeah.
It's a lot of words, I know. Good thing
Well,
Thrax doesn't have to read this. He'll
exactly.
tell you all this stuff.
Yes. Oh man.
Okay.
Cool.
So now we can switch back.
So
Sorry.
do they want it, or are they letting me keep it?
Yeah, they're letting you keep it.
Sweet.
We can switch back to the Masked Lord group. So they say, okay, so what's the action items here? What's the plan? We've got Storm Giants allies. We've got the local heroes. We've got the Black Staff. I think the goal is to drive the Cloud Giants away temporarily and try to. So what is the plan? What's the plan of action? Any suggestions?
How many warriors do we have? Or army? How many soldiers do we have?
With us, a minimal amount, like a couple dozen just guards, but the army there's not really an army. What army there is?
And how many Cloud Giants? Do we know how many Cloud Giants there
are? So Vajra is there. She says their best intelligence says about 3 dozen. Which again, we don't have to kill them all. We just have to, if you're fighting a lion, poke it hard enough that it retreats. So we just have to poke them hard enough that they retreat.
I think we can surprise them with some magic. I think the adventurers are quite skilled in their magical spells, and I think between the magical spells and the walking statues, which are quite powerful, I think we can do enough damage to a number of the storm giants to get their attention and drive them off. And I'm going to telepathically, send a message to everybody and say, guys, I'm open to ideas.
I think you're right. I think that we can certainly take out a small group of them enough to the point that we can force a retreat. And if we have ourselves as a group, and or even if we are controlling the giant city robots, then that would be the one way to do it. Do we need to each control a giant statue robot, or do we need to be a party of ourselves while one person controls a robot as the support for that group.
Yeah, so I say to Vajra, what are the challenges of controlling the walking statues?
She says, I mean, the main challenge is, getting one person to focus per statue. Don't step on any civilians. She says, I would be the magical conduit. I would be casting other spells to protect the city. I'd be the conduit between the staff, myself, and ideally 3 other people, one for each statue that still remains, so that each person could focus on one statue. And she
what
points
kind
to
of
some of the
damage
guards
can
and
a
says,
statue do?
they're big, they're big, they're tough. They're created to defend the city, and they do a lot of damage. They're comparable to a giant, probably more than comparable to a giant.
So telepathically, I'm saying, I'm asking, probably Ariel and Khalifa, they're probably most capable of controlling them. Or do we have those capabilities to control?
It would
I mean,
just be.
she said she'll be the conduit to connect someone. She's even pointed to some of the guards and said, if we don't have somebody else, I'll get one of these guards. They've got combat training. So any one of you could do it, you think?
Okay.
Not that smart anyway.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the question is, will that be a particularly good use of our skill set, or would we be better served doing other things, which I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we
It'd be
could.
fun to control statues. I mean, that could be
I was
fun.
gonna say, I think the the giant statue kaiju thing
Sounds pretty awesome. Yeah. Gundam. Yeah. Little.
She says, sometime in the next week, I'll put the statistics for the giant statue and the PowerPoint slide, which is a weird thing for her to say, but
Yeah, it's super weird. But
she does
there
say
you
that.
Arcane sort of language.
go.
Yeah.
Well, Jay, I
Right.
have to admit, I am super exhausted. So
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, let's
Good time.
probably a good time to call it.
Cool.
all right.
This
Well,
is-
thanks for getting us back up to speed. I'm really excited to get back into this.
Sure thing.
Yeah, I would say this is a good refresher. I think I wish I had my old notes, but I mean, we had so many notes that it'd be hard to go through them all. So I think we're pretty much up to kind of where we need to be. I mean, there's some nuances that I've forgotten for sure.
I mean,
And I'll
certainly
see
for this,
what I can do
for this
to
story.
track down what we downloaded.
Awesome.
And yeah, I thought you might be getting to combat tonight, but not quite. And although Thrax was going to take on those 2 guys, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
That would have been
Um,
cool.
So I did create a when to meet poll. If you look at the general channel, it's in there. Please just like festoon it with any availability you think you might have.
Awesome.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
thanks.
All
Cool.
right. See you
Good-
guys
Thank
next
you.
week.
All right.
All right.
Have a
Bye,
good
all.
night.
guys.